Hey everyone, we are going to get started with our demo here. First, I'm going to share my screen. And if you have questions while we're going through this, be sure to drop them in the chat and I will try to answer them as we go through, and I'll take breaks to make sure we get them, and then we'll try to fit in a Q&A at the end. So first thing I'm going to do is just start to go through how Materio can help you take existing projects that you're probably doing in a lot of different other places and put it into one system. So you're probably working with floor plans with different types of visuals that are going to help represent your project and help your team and your clients and the contractor understand what is going into the project and what is needed to be done, to be decided, etc. So what we're going to do first is you'd upload your floor plans, you'd upload your mood boards or visuals here, anything that is going to help you communicate again the vision of the project or help you at the beginning outline what is needed. So you're going to start a project. I can kind of start in various phases, but for this, we have a floor plan from the architect. Maybe your team has drawn up this floor plan and sort of already gone through the conceptual design phase, but we've already got this here and we've got an idea of what we're going to get started. For this, we're going to start to outline what are the finishes and parts of the project that are needed and that need to be decided. So I'm going to use our scope starter, and this is a way for you to just sort of outline the locations and set budgets. So I can use some of our defaults here. If I want to do primary bedroom, bathroom, half bath living, yeah, we're probably going to do all of these. And then maybe I want to type in, specifics like guest bath, guest bedroom, etc. So this just allows you to create these custom locations. And then next, we're going to go through setting up the budgets for these. So I might say, great, the kitchen is going to be 75,000. And by the way, it's going to work towards your total project budget here. So let's say the total budget that my client gave me was 500,000. So we'll work towards that. Primary bedroom. So we're going to start to just kind of guesstimate what we think these rooms are going to cost. And this is just a budget. You can always edit this. You can always change it. And it depends on what type of project you're doing. You might be estimating things like, furniture and finishes in this budget, or you might just be doing finishes. You may be doing construction and materials and finished materials. So it really just depends on what type of firm you are, how you're going to, how big this bucket is going to need to be. So I'm just going to throw in some loose numbers here. And you'll see that what it's doing is it's allocating those to those rooms, and then it's kind of saying everywhere else you have a remaining of 275. So again, we can always change this. And then next, I'm going to start to outline the categories of work that I'm going to be doing on this project. I'm going to be offering design services. If I'm a design build firm, I might be doing general requirements like plans, permits, engineering fees, etc. You can always do that. And then I'm going to start to do, for this project, I'll just do mostly design. So I'll do electrical, and these are the types of finishes or selections that I might have. So these are just the defaults. This is just boilerplate, how you get started. You can always add more and customize this later. But these little chips that I'm adding, those are going to be items that are selections. So I'm going to say yes, and all these rooms I want tile. Now, one thing you'll notice here is that your custom locations at the moment are not populating. So you'll see those defaults, kitchen, primary bath, etc., are because those were Materio defaults. But the custom ones, you're going to have to create those items in the next part of the project. All right, so I've got some stuff here. I'm going to add those in, and again, it goes all the way down to furniture and even soft goods. And now I'm going to decide the fee structure that this project needs to have. In Materio, you can have different fee structures within different projects, and even within one project, you can have a combination. But in this part, we're going to set up what is our standard. So are you charging kind of a design fee on top of the project? Usually this is going to be visible to the client. This is going to be, I charge, time and materials plus 20%, or are you typically including a markup on your product? So are most of the items in your project going to be products and goods that are marked up? And if so, you might have anywhere from a 60 to 100% or whatever the markup might be. And you can always create this individually later, but this is going to be kind of a blanket across all the items so that you don't forget it. So I'd say include your maximum, and you can always go back and change these. And then are you typically buying wholesale and charging tax, or are you buying retail and not charging tax? For this, most designers are going to be doing wholesale and then charging sales tax from their clients. So I'm going to put in my sales tax rate. And if you need help calculating your sales tax rate for a project, you probably already know this or how your state works, but of course you can always consult your accountant on that. All right, and now I have an outline of my project. So this is going to start building out this list here that is going to help me think about what is it that is needed, what is missing, how much does it cost. Now what I can do is pull in different locations. So let's say I want to bring all these in. And some of these locations that I've created, maybe because I duplicated this project, so they were already there. But I can drag and drop these items. So if I want to drag and drop in here, I can. And then this is how you sort of pull your locations in. Now, once I have locations set, I can also do by location. So I can switch and do this location view if I'd rather add in items that way. Um, So those are both options. So now I can come in and here I can say, vanity sconce. So I can type in whatever I want to. I can create custom items, and then I would just come over here and enable a selection. So you'll notice how these have question marks next to them. That means that they're going to show up in your selections workspace, which just becomes a really big visual to-do list for your team. What needs to be designed, what needs to be sourced, and this will help you take it through the approval process with your clients. So all of that is connected to the scope of work here. And then I'm going to quickly start to say, how much are these things going to cost? $500, maybe I put in some kind of best guess estimates here. And the other thing you want to consider is shipping. Am I going to charge shipping, and am I going to charge a markup on shipping? Maybe you don't. So it's going to, if you change that default, it's going to open up this little module here, and you can say on shipping, I just charge 20% and no tax. Delivery, I'm going to do 20%, no tax. Labor, 20% and no tax. And you can go ahead and update all the existing items in your project here, and then it's going to help you do that. One thing to note here is if you are further along in the project, updating those default rates does populate over to your products, and we'll get there later, but it's really important to get this part of your project set up. And it may feel like a little bit more work at the beginning, but planning and making this really, really built out at the early stages of your project is going to help your team move faster and ensure profitability in the long run. So that is very important when you're estimating. Now, separately, you might want to estimate things like delivery. So let's say we have, this is a custom sconce, and we're actually going to have someone hand deliver it. Oftentimes this is going to be for large pieces of furniture. You may want to include that delivery on there. So those are just different cost components on that. We have a whole video on estimating on our YouTube channel, and you can always check that out and learn more about how estimation works in Materio. So the other thing that's really cool is now that I'm starting to build out these items, I can also start to mark the plans with it. So let's say I want to have in the back foyer, I want to have sconces, and I actually want to have them right here and right here. So actually, when I put those plan markers on the plans, it's going to estimate the quantity for me. So now it says that I actually have 2 sconces at $500, and it's going to do that math for me. So it's really cool to be able to see those, visualize those items and where the money's going and where the designs are going using the floor plan markers. This is also really convenient for the team when they get into the field and the electrician is there and they're trying to install it. This is going to give them a blueprint of exactly where to put it. Now, another cool way that you can use a floor plan is actually to estimate something like bathroom tile. So not only are these markers or items that you can put product into, but this is a way for you to get a really, really accurate estimate. So let's say I'm going to estimate $15 a square foot for this tile, $100 for the shipping, and let's actually do an extra $100 for the delivery, and then $1,500 for the labor. So I'm going all in on this, and then I want to actually mark plans. So I'm going to come to mark plans, and I'm going to zoom in to the area that I want to mark. And I'm going to use the area tool. Now, the first time you ever use this area tool, poly or line tool, it's going to ask you to scale your plan, which is super simple. We also have videos on that. It's very intuitive, but when I do that, I don't have to do it again. And now you can see that I have 44 square feet right here. I can go ahead and add in my waste, and then there you go. I have a really accurate estimate of what it's going to take to build this project. So what you're going to do is estimate your project, outline it, make sure you've got everything connected. This is going to keep you super organized. And then you're going to share it with your client for the first time and say, hey, does this look good? Do we agree to this total budget? And the way that you're going to share with your client is inviting them up at the top here. I've already done that for one of my clients, and you can set up different permissions for them. What are they going to be able to see? Do you want them to see the total price, meaning, including your markup? They're not going to see any kind of breakdown, just what is the total price for an item? Are you trying to do it by category or location only and just say, hey, it's gonna be 27,000 for the kitchen? Or do you wanna just do a project total? So there's some flexibility there, as well as what they're gonna see. These are the defaults, so most of these things are gonna be turned off, but if you wanna share the timeline with them, or if you're doing e-design and you wanna share links or sourcing with them, you can do that. All right, so I've invited my client, let's say, and I'm now moving on to actually sourcing and figuring out what is actually going to go in this project. So I've got an idea of what I need to find, and now I'm going to go over to the selections workspace. And this is where the design team is really going to hang out. This is going to be how do I actually pull products in for certain areas. So you'll see here that I have a pendant in bath 9, it's $800. I can come in and pull from my library, and I can see what's in here. Maybe I really want to do this one. And I can also present multiple options. So maybe I want to consider these two as options for this bathroom. And then also another thing you'll see as you're pulling in information here is the total budget for the room. So that just helps keep you in line as you are pulling things. Now the library is really great for when you are pulling in items that you use all the time, or if you're just clipping a lot from the web and you want to pull it in. So that's one way I can pull from my library. Separately, I will show you how you can actually clip an item and then you can pull it in. So let's say I'm on this website and I'm searching for a sconce for the bathroom, and I really love this one. Beautiful sconce here. And I'm going to come in, and as long as you're using Chrome and you have our Chrome extension on your browser, you can click the Materio logo. It's going to pull the photo in for you. You can then categorize this into electrical. You can create custom groups. And so these groups were set up by me over here, and you can do that individually for your team, however it feels best for you. And then it's going to pull in the name. It's going to pull in the SKU information here. You can move this to the left if you want to pull in certain things like dimensions and finish. And then if you wanted to remove a photo or you wanted to switch, so let's say I actually want to pull in this one. I could click this. When I click that, it's going to show up at the top, and I can click the other one to remove it. So you can go in and pull different items there. And then I'm going to put in my markup, my lead time. Maybe this is 7 weeks. I can switch to weeks, and then I'm going to save it to my library. And then when I go back to my project and I want to pull in, let's say I'm working on electrical today, I can come in and it's going to be clipped right at the top as new. It's going to be labeled new for 24 hours. So if anyone on your team is clipping, you can see what's coming in and you can put it there. All right, so those are ways that you can get information into your project. So I've started to source product. Now I'm ready to move this through the approval process. And we're moving fast today because we only have a 30-minute demo, but I just want to show you how this works. So now that I have some open decisions here, you'll notice that there's this big yellow banner that says, hey, these are ready to send to your client for approval. So this is when I would say, great, I'm going to go ahead and send these over to my client. You could unselect these. You can also filter and say, I want to send just, the bathroom. Maybe you want to send all of the kitchen finishes at one time. You could do that, but I'm going to go ahead and send these over. And when I do that, you'll see that they're cleared out of this open workspace and they're moved over to awaiting approval. And this is how you know your client has gotten the email to approve these. And this is how they will see the items, and it's very similar to this view, and then it will move over confirmed. So actually what we're going to do is we're actually going to join in as a client. So this is the email. When I send it to my client, it says that they have requested me to join them on a project. They're going to get a thumbnail. There's an introduction video if they want to learn more about how to use Materio as a client. But I'm going to open this up in a new window, and we're going to stop sharing for a minute so I can show you that window. All right, so this is what your client is going to see. They can continue as a guest and they can still view, the floor plan pages or any kind of mood boards that you have for them here. So that is all visible. But then if I click right here, usually clients just create a password. So we will create a password. And then they'll be taken to the dashboard. So this is the client dashboard. They got your logo at the top. It's nice and clean. They can see the projects that have been, presented to them. This goes into the project itself. So it looks like this. They can see, this client can see the itemized pricing. They can see the visuals here. They can see the selections workspace You'll see that they don't see any product that you're working on, but they can see what's awaiting approval. And then first things first, what they're going to do is get that email that says awaiting approval. And then when they come into their account, if they click the email, they'll be directed right to this. But if they come into their account first and they see they got an action item, they'll click this and it'll take them right to where they need to make an approval. So in this case, I can see the budgets that are set for me and I love this one. I'm going to approve it. It's going to let the client know that they're exceeding their original estimate, which is fine. Every selection in Materio is treated as an allowance. And that's to protect you as the firm and give you some flexibility. So as the client, I'm going to go ahead and go in and confirm these things. And now you'll see that as a client, I can also see that they have been confirmed. So as a client, I do get visibility into where project progress is at. I'm not going to see a lot of the specifics like notes. Of course, I'm not going to see any links to purchase orders or anything like that, but it does give me visibility into the things that I've decided. And that saves a lot of headache on your end as the firm because you don't have to answer as many questions. They feel like they have a place to go to look for that information. So that's a little bit on the client experience. And then while we're here, I'll also show you that as they're going through products, if they have questions, whether it's been approved, whether it's in the awaiting approval section, they can always come in and leave a comment. And that could be simple as that I love this. It could be, questions about this or why did you present this to you? But it gives them a way to communicate with you on the product in a place that is very specific. They can also communicate with you on items themselves, and they can also communicate with you on visuals or floor plans. So this just gives them the ability to communicate with you throughout the system in a really structured way that is going to help save your sanity and not have 20 million emails in your inbox. All right, so we're going to hop back over to the design firm side and talk more about how you build out, how you order and manage orders and invoicing. All right. All right, so now if I come back to the firm side, you'll see that everything has been approved. And I see it over here on my end, very similar to the clients. You can also view this in a table view if you wanted to look at this in more of a linear way to see more information like details. And you can also come in and change status here. But the next thing we're going to do is actually get paid for these products before we order them. So I'm going to go over to my finances section, and under invoices, this is where I'm able to send an invoice to my client. Let's call this the electrical deposit. And we're going to go ahead and put a due date. And then in Materio, what you can do is very easily either collect a retainer, and then you can later apply that retainer to other parts of the project, or I can bill for an item. So I'm going to select the 3 things that were approved. You'll notice that you can actually invoice for any item in Materio. This makes it really, really flexible as pricing and decisions change. But right now, we'll stick to the standard workflow of things are approved and we're going to get paid for it. So I can come in and I can collect 100% or I can collect 50%. Some firms work in the way of collecting deposits. Some want to collect it all. I'm going to go ahead and collect all of it. And then you'll see that I have the option here to accept credit card, ACH, or wire transfer because I am connected. We're integrated with Stripe, and so you can do it that way. You can also have the default be that the client covers the fee, and that is the default in Materio, but you can also cover that fee as well if you'd like to. Next, I'm going to send this over to the client. And then for the sake of this demo, I'm going to mark this as paid. You'll notice that when I mark it as paid, I have a lot of flexibility here on how it was paid and if I want to send a payment confirmation. So if you're playing catch up as you're getting started in Materio, you can, turn that off. All right, you'll also notice that I have QuickBooks connected to my account, so it's saying that it's syncing here. QuickBooks integration is a really exciting feature that allows all of your financials and things like invoices and expenses and purchase orders to sync over to QuickBooks so your accountant can keep it all up to date. That is a whole demo in itself. We have lots of videos and resources on that, but just know that you can connect to QuickBooks and it is a really great integration. All right, so now that those things have been paid, I'm actually going to go over and order them. Now, when things are approved, they actually don't have to be paid for yet. Once they're approved, they'll be auto-drafted into a purchase order into Materio. And this gives you and your team the ability to manage those orders in a really clear way. So if you have 20 items, there might be 20 items from Circa, or there may be more. So I'm going to send a new order. and I'll have a contact here. This means I'm actually sending off an order to a vendor and saying, hey, I'd like to order this. You're going to get a preview of the email that they are going to see. You're going to be able to select if you want to add a receiver or if you want it shipped to the job site. You can add receivers as individual contacts. You can decide some of the information that you want to share. You could put any memos or instructions here, and that is going to be saved into the PDF that they also receive attached to the email. And then separately, you can customize the message that you want to send to them. All right, so I'm going to send this off. And now they have the opportunity to submit the information back to me, which is really helpful. If they have questions and they respond to the email, it's going to go directly to you so that you can communicate with them as well. Now I'm going to come in and let's just say that I received this quote back from them. I will put it here. I can go ahead and they're going to be able to do this as well, choose the ship date, etc. But I'm just going to do it on my end for now. This is where you can come in and customize the pricing. So did they tell me the price was going to be different? Am I paying, an additional fee in shipping, etc.? And am I making any payments now? So I can go ahead and attach, I don't have to attach a receipt here, but I can track these payments. If I'm connected to QuickBooks, payment methods from your QuickBooks account will show up here. And I can put if I've paid a transaction fee as well. And then I can confirm that. So now that is fully paid and confirmed. The second way that you can actually track a purchase order or track an order in Materio is just by recording an order that you've already placed. Now, the use case for this is typically going to be that I've gone online, I have placed the order, and I want to track that I have done that. And I'm not dealing with a trade vendor or anything like that. Again, I can come in, add my receipt because I just ordered it online, say whether or not I have changed the prices of this, if things have changed, if I'm ending up paying tax for some reason, and then if I tracked any payments. And maybe I only paid a deposit on this, but it's going to be, I'm going to pay in full later, so I can do that. And I'm going to add a ship date here so I can show up on my timeline. All right, so now it's going to be moved over to the confirmed column, and then you'll see that not all of it has been paid so far. One thing that you should note is that if you're connected to QuickBooks, the confirmed and fully paid columns are the moments that the purchase orders are created over in QuickBooks. And as you track those payments on POs, those payments are also synced over to QuickBooks. Again, a lot to learn there, but just know that it's all there. All right, so that is purchase orders in Materio. The other thing I wanted to cover today is the timeline. So the timeline feature is a great way for you to stay organized and create these templates for your team. So I can just start typing. So maybe it's the client onboarding phase. Maybe then we have design concepts. Then we have, floor plans and review or something like that. I'm not feeling very creative this morning, but we've got all of our work phases here. Then maybe we're actually doing a full project. So we start doing demolition, we're doing framing, etc. So you can get as customized as you want to here. And then what you can do is actually create a template. So I could save this as a new template. I can also use existing templates. So I can pull in certain projects and update those templates. If I cleared out my timeline altogether, I'll show you what it looks like to use a template. I'll do this one. So I can save these templates and then I can use those over and over again on my projects. And then under each phase, I can have planned tasks. So again, these are going to be things that your team knows have to happen in that phase every single time. This is not going to account for the one-off task, but it's going to help your team structurally know what to do. And this is really great for running projects really efficiently. And then you can come in and assign them to whoever else is supposed to be doing it. And then also assign certain due dates, and that is going to actually order when they're showing up and when they should be done by certain people. Now, the other cool thing is that when this phase starts, so if the design phase starts today on the 7th, then it's going to show up, these items that are going to be in that phase are going to show up on these individual people's task list on their dashboard. So they're going to see that they have something upcoming, see the due dates. So it's already going to be planned and it's going to show up in their things to do today or in this week. So that's a really helpful way of getting started. And again, you can just come in here and type. It makes it super easy to add tasks, super easy to add design phases. If you want to remove any of these dependencies or add dependencies, you can just click right here. After framing, clear that out. And what that's going to allow you to do is move this freely versus this one is connected to other pieces of work. So there's a lot that you can do with this timeline. It makes it really visual and easy. And then as you start to track shipments and things, those are all going to show up here. All right, one thing I should say, I didn't touch on this afterwards. Once we send that purchase order, now that we're talking about shipments, if I come over to this confirmed workspace, you'll see that the items that I placed a purchase order for are automatically going to be updated to ordered. And if now I know that that's shipped, I can come in, I can put in tracking information, I can say who's the carrier, any kind of notes, and then schedule that arrival on my timeline. Then I'll have a place to track it. I can come in and track and learn more. We have big plans for making this really super automated and much faster, but even now it's a really great place to see all of your information, all the tracking details, and keep track of what's happening on your project. All right. Now, I think the last thing I'll talk about, because we're running out of time, is the activity feed. So the activity feed is a place for you to see internally what is going on your project. And it's also a way for you to share information with the collaborators on your project and your clients. So this is a great way to come in and add notes. So let's say you have tons of meeting notes from today and you want to add those in, you could do that here. You could also come in and add in photos. So let's say you went to the site and you wanted to document some things, you could put those in and save them. Now, this is a great way to have your team be able to see the notes on the project, keep up with things. And then separately, I can also come in and prepare a report for a certain date range. And that's going to pull up information that was recently done on the project, what's coming up on the timeline. And I can share this with my client and just sort of give them a weekly update of the things that have been going on. I should also note that if you're tracking your time and material, those notes and timesheets are going to show up right here. So you already have a big, pile of all the things that have happened from your team by date, and you can just sort of finesse that and customize that message to share with your client. So that is a really great tool for sharing updates. And on the note of time tracking, I guess the very last thing I will say is that we do have a time tracker up here at the top. You can do, what you're working on this project. You can say it's billable or non-billable, add notes and start your timer. And separately, you could be just a little bit less granular and do manual time tracking. So you could say, I worked an hour on this, or I worked 15 minutes. Maybe I'm working on, this project and I did drafting. So you can save that from anywhere in the system. You can do that. And then you can always manage your time tracking and more over here. All right, so that is a very brief demo of the system. Of course, there's all these different components that you can check out, global procurement, how you integrate with QuickBooks. We are excited for you to explore the system. Thank you for joining me for a demo today. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us at hello@materio.co. Check out videos on our YouTube channel or in our resource center, and we'll be excited to see you on the platform. Y'all have a great day.